Hey everyone, it's Liam the Deaf Doom Metalhead. I hope you're all well. It's time for a new video where I'm trying to do something different. So I want to do a video where I talk about 6 of my favourite vocalists in metal. There's no order in number who's the best or whatnot. It's just 6 bands with a particular vocalist that kind of connected to me when I was younger, or just have a really good vocal range, or whatnot. So yeah, I hope you're all well. It's so fucking hot, so if I'm sweating on camera, I do apologise. But yeah, it's too fucking hot, and if I have the fan on, you won't hear a word I'm saying. So yeah, anyway, kick off. So the first band I picked is Candlemass, and the legendary Messiah McCollin. He was in 4 of their, I wouldn't say their bigger albums. I mean, obviously Nightfall is the biggest one that most people go for when it comes to Candlemass. But obviously I have my own opinion of that. And I've had various vocalists over the years. But he kind of connected with me because he was such a live character live. I mean, I've got the DVDs and he's just all over the place, and he was obviously the first thing I heard from Candlemass when I first heard them, and it's kind of stuck. So the first album I ever heard with them, which if you follow my channel already, why don't you, was this album, A Tale of Creation. I have no idea when it came out. I think 1980, the year I was born, 1989. That's how old this album is. Absolutely amazing album. I've shown this a dozen of times on my channel. My favourite Candlemass album by a country mile. Big chunky riffs, really epic. And it's the first one I heard as a teenager, and I still love it to this day. And that is solely the reason I got into the band. And I still love them today. I've got the other releases here. We've got Nightfall. These are all Peaceful releases with the older case, and yeah, absolute classics. I mean, this one comes with the bonus disc with a lot of demos and live stuff there, and then a lot of these also have that really long interview at the end, which can be quite interesting but also really boring. But yeah, there you go. And obviously there's Ancient Dreams he was on. I really like this album as well. Not a lot of people talk about this one for some reason. I don't know why, because it's got some brilliant riffs on here. What you got? Like Crying from the Crypt, Mirror Mirror. I mean, the Black Sabbath medley. That's always good. Ancient Dreams, the title track. I love all the songs on this album, and the artwork's really cool. I need to get this on vinyl. And then the last one he did with them was the self-titled in 2005 for Nuclear Blast. And if you don't know what he looks like, there he is there in the front. Big personality. I don't know if he still gets on with the band or not, I'm not sure, but yeah, brilliant vocals. Annoyingly, I haven't got any Memento Mori stuff that he was in. They've done 3 albums, I think, but they're not cheap and they're really hard to get hold of. So if you know where they are, obviously let me know, because I'd be very interested in them. So yeah, that's Candlemass. And then we'll up the ante a bit with one of my favourite death metal bands, and the vocalist Jan Chris de Coyer. So Dutch band, Gorefest. I mean, his vocals on this first release alone are really guttural, really aggressive, really heavy. I mean, early 90s death metal done right. I mean, this album's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Really sludgy guitar riffs. Got that very, very old school vibe to it. But if you know the history of Gorefest, obviously they did change their sound very drastically. And kind of went into that more hard rock, alternative rock kind of sound. But the classic that everyone knows of Gorefest is obviously False. I mean, it's a 10 out of 10 album for most people, including me. Not a bad track on here. Absolute gold. And then, I've got more to collect of theirs, but their last one I have happily on vinyl, and that is Rise to Ruin, and this is a solid album, and his vocals are absolutely amazing on this one. Really strong album, really aggressive, really heavy. The riffs are really good. The production's also really, really good on this release as well. Solid album. So yeah, Jan Chris de Coyer. So if you've never checked him out, give him a listen. His vocals are very unique. They're not the traditional death metal sound. They're more like, I want to say gorilla-like almost. You could picture a gorilla doing death metal. That's kind of how I pictured in my head what he sounds like, which is probably a terrible description, but There you go. And then thirdly, I can't find him now. Yeah, sorry. So thirdly is Aaron Strainthorpe from My Dying Bride. Everyone knows how much I love My Dying Bride. This is one of their early EPs, the Symphonaire EP. You know, early 90s Death Doom from the UK. You know, he's a bit of an icon in the scene, I guess, because he's the one that kind of pioneered that clean vocal style with the growly stuff. I mean, obviously you got like Nafma and Paradise Lost, but they really did change their sound. And like, I know Paradise Lost have kind of gone back to it, but you know, these guys have never left it. You know, they've only just kind of enhanced it. And he has such a unique voice. You could easily recognise him, you know, from a mile away when he's doing vocals. He's got such a way with words. He uses a lot of poetry in his vocals. A lot of thought goes into them as well. They're not just barked at you. They're kind of, I mean, if you read the lyrics on here alone, you know, you can kind of get, you know, it's serious stuff. You know, it's not just pissing about, you know, make it up as you go along about death and all that kind of thing. It's well thought out. And, you know, and their latest release, A Ghost of Orion, that came out this year through Nuclear Blast, which has probably one of my favourite album covers I've ever seen, just for the way it stands out. I mean, you could put that on the wall. It's, you know, it's a piece of art. Well, obviously, most albums have a piece of art on them, but, you know, that looks fucking amazing. You know, and his vocals are really varied on this one. You've got a lot of the guttural stuff. You've got a lot of the clean stuff. There's a lot more emotion going on in this release. He's got it doubled up, so you've got kind of like a choir kind of sound going on. So it's, you know, really varied, you know, and, you know, he's a bit of a hero of mine. He's easily one of my favourite vocalists, just because of his such a unique character and his vocal style, and nobody sounds like him. And if you're a metal vocalist, you want to kind of stand out in the crowd, you obviously have to have your own style. And then, moving on from there, you know, we've got the classic, and legendary metal god himself, Rob Halford. Again, can't be compared to anyone else. First time I heard this, you know, I went fucking mental. I thought it was brilliant. Fell in love with the band instantly. I discovered them quite late on in my late teens, I think. Definitely finished high school. This is obviously a first pressing of British Steel. This is 40 years old now. This is, you know, such a legendary album itself. And, you know, Breaking the Law. Yeah, what other ones are there? I remember. United, Grinder, Metal Gods, Rapid Fire, you know, there's fucking hundreds on there. You could name a Judas Priest songs that are classic. But the album that, you know, caught my imagination the most was this one, Painkiller. And that purely from this artwork here. I think I was in Skegness of all places. And you used to have those shops that kind of printed off really shit t-shirts with that kind of waxy kind of stuff that used to just peel off after your mum washed it. But I had a Painkiller t-shirt that my dad brought me. I insisted on having it. And yeah, I love the band ever since. This is a brilliant album. I need to get this on vinyl as well. Yeah, what can I say about Judas Priest that nobody already knows? You got obviously Defenders of the Faith, another great album of theirs, again with amazing artwork that I had on the t-shirt. It was since disappeared. Haven't found that. Wish I did. But yeah, brilliant vocalist. So Rob Halford. And then an odd one that people might not have heard of. Paul Kerr of November's Doom, Chicago-based band. They're a death doom band, I guess you could class them as, but they do a lot more in their styles. I mean, this band, this is their latest release, Nephilim Grove. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I mean, his vocals on this one especially are really varied. Some of the latter albums I kind of lost a bit of interest. I mean, I've given them some more listens and I can appreciate them now, but I haven't ever been disappointed in this album. I heard it, you know, back to front, and I played it for weeks and weeks when I got it. I think I got this copy when I was in Portugal at a festival. There was a guy selling CDs and I kind of spotted it, because they're not easy CDs to find cheap, especially here in the UK. I mean, that's probably the easiest one to find on eBay. I think I paid about £4 for that one, and that is To Welcome the Fade, which is one of my favourite albums of theirs. But like the earlier stuff, I mean, Music Magpie, they're selling them for like £25. I'm not paying that for a CD. I mean, there's a few albums I really want in my collection, like the classic albums, but the money they go for is ridiculous. So I'm kind of hoping when I'm out in the wild, I'll find them. That's what I've convinced myself in my head I'm going to do anyway. But this one, I got for a very sensible price, and it's a fucking awesome album. If you've not checked this one out, please do, because it's probably one of their best albums they've done in a long time. I mean, my actual favourite song on here is probably the least heaviest one on here, and that is What We Become. It's got great guitar riffs, really good singing melodies. What Paul does really well is he's got this insane growl in his vocal style that you wouldn't even recognise it comes from the bloke when you see pictures of him. But he can also really sing, and obviously if you're doing Deaf Doom and you want to kind of go into that territory of like My Dying Bride, you have to be able to sing, and Paul can certainly sing, so check them out. And then lastly, probably my favourite vocalist that not many people talk about, and he's been in quite a few projects that I have CDs of, and he was also in Candlemas at one point, and that is the legendary Robert Lowe from Solitude Eternus. Now, I have all their albums apart from the first two, because again they go for silly money. Even the CDs, I think it's 16 quid for the Beyond the Crimson Horizon, and I really want them on vinyl because I have all the others on vinyl. So if I get the other two, I've got the whole set on vinyl. So I'm kind of hoping that they'll find them again in the wild for a reasonable price. But I think the last time I looked, I think they're going over 100 quid, and that's because they're on Road Racer when they came out in the early 90s. But this is a reissue of Through the Darkest Hour. It's got different artwork to what you'd see on the CD, because I don't believe it was ever pressed on vinyl. So this company, Eyes Like Snow Records, I think it is. I've never heard of it, but they put out two of there's Downfall and this one with different album covers. But this has got some absolute classic songs on it. I mean, all their albums are fantastic, but Robert Lowe's vocals really come through on Shattered My Spirit. It's a really slow, epic song, really builds. His harmonies are spot on. And if you like clean singing that's done really, really well in a more manly, melodic way, check out that track, if you can see it there, without the glare, because he's quite shiny. But, he's an amazing vocalist. This one, I think, came out, I think this is their third release, if I'm mistaken. Yeah, I think it is, yeah. Amazing album. And then obviously another one of my favourites is Adagio. It's with a more kind of Sabbathy sound on this one, a bit more sludgy, a bit more stompy. It's all about, mental people, if you read the title tracks. It is really good, and his vocals again, really, really strong. And yeah, I mean, for a band from Texas to play that kind of Candlemas sound is very cool. Really heavy guitars and Solitude Eternus. And even though I'm such a big Candlemas fan, these guys I think were more consistent in their albums than Candlemas. These guys kind of had that more heavier, thrashy kind of sound at the early days, and it kind of progressed into more slowy, stompy, doomy sound, to the point obviously that they then split up and they no longer exist. But yeah, Robert Lowe, I mean, he's such a great vocalist, and like he's in Tyrant now with Hereafter that came out this year. That's a brilliant album. He was in Candlemas. I've got a Funeral album where he does a track on there, and it's probably the best song on the whole album. So yeah, that's my, I think it was 6 vocalists. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you don't subscribe already, please do, because it obviously helps me get my face out there, and YouTube recommends me to other people. Check out my other content I have available if you're interested in that. I do vinyl updates, album reviews, all sorts of shite that you might find interesting. And also give me a message. I'm on Instagram, the Deaf Doom Metalhead, Facebook now, so if you want to message me on there, you can get hold of me that way. Just search the Deaf Doom Metalhead and you will find me hopefully on there. And until then, take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.